Everyone has a bright light inside of them that deserves to be seen by the world. That's why it's time to shine the light on the extraordinary who are accomplishing phenomenal things. This is the Shine Out Loud Show with Lillian Ogbogo.
Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever in the world you are, and welcome to another episode of the Shine Out Loud Show. Now, I am in shock, and I'm just downright disturbed. It's almost Christmas, folks, and for all of you out there who are going to call me a Grinch, I don't care. It came around way too early, but you know what? It's a season to be jolly, and I personally am really, really pleased tonight because I get a woman who takes a look at life from a very unique point of view. She's either behind the lens or creating print. She is a creative soul that looks at slices of life to find the change and the conversation within. I am talking about none other than Sharon Simpson. If you know of this woman, you know of her work previously as a boudoir photographer. Yes, ladies, this woman got you down to the nitty-gritty and found the beauty within. And there is just something so magical about the work that she's done. And now that she's transitioned to print, it's actually spectacular and breathtaking. So I'm not going to wax lyrical too much. Join me and welcome my guest this evening, Sharon. Hi, Sharon.
Hi, Lillian. Hello.
Hi.
Thank you for that intro. Wow.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So yes, I mean, I know you as your first manifestation as the boudoir photographer, and you have transitioned into creating organic, sustainable fashion with your silks prints t-shirts, which you put some really amazing imagery through under your banner of Dark Romantic. So let's start with this. Why did you name it Dark Romantic?
Good question. Good question. First of all, I want to say thank you very much for having me on the show.
You're welcome.
Secondly, thank you very much for that intro. It's like, oh my God, I didn't recognize myself. I sound great. Dark Romantics, the short story. I decided that I wanted to decorate my house very, very differently. And I decided I wanted to go dark. And I got really into the whole dark interiors and just doing something that was really dramatic. Every time I've moved house, I've always painted it white, and I wanted something that was really dramatic. And I was working with a friend of mine. I was upcycling furniture and really getting into the sort of interior thing. And with a friend of mine, we sat at my kitchen table one day, and I'd asked her, I said, look, do you want to come in and, you know, we can work together and do this thing? And what should we call it? And I said to her, well, you're dark. And she said, or we both said, I'm romantic. And then we both went, Dark Romantic at the same time. And then when we went to register the name to find the domain name, of course, Dark Romantic with a C was gone.
Right.
So we stuck an X on the end and it became Dark Romantix. And I love it, and it works really well. I get lots of comments. Unfortunately, the girl that I was working with, the friend that I was working with, it didn't work out as us working together. But so she left, and I just continued. I carried on with the whole dark romantics thing, and it's about two things kind of clashing, you know. So you've got the dark and the romance. It's always about things sort of colliding.
I think it's that juxtaposition that you do, and you do it quite well with the imagery, because when people look at the print t-shirts that you do, there is a beauty and a delicateness to them, but there's also very striking imagery as well.
I'd be completely transparent and completely honest. It's an evolution. So when it started, I was much more thinking about interiors. Okay. And I'm still thinking about interiors. That's just on the back burner. It's in the back of my head, but I'm still thinking about interiors. But it was about as the brand is evolving, and because it's evolving as I do it, if you see what I mean. I didn't really sit down and the people who know me know that I'm not a great planner. So I didn't really sit down and plan. I want it to be this and I want it to be that. I just knew that I was really into drama, creating some kind of drama, something that's different. You don't really see dark interiors. I mean, although it's a trend at the moment, but I think that will eventually die down and people will sort of go back to their lighter shades.
Right.
But the whole idea with the brand is that I feel that I'm getting to know it the more that I do it, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Okay, and and I like the evolution and I like the journey of it. So we're going to look at your evolution because we talk about you being a boudoir photographer, and in an interview you did for Divorce magazine, you talk about what inspired you to get behind the lens and create your boudoir photography. What was your inspiration?
The inspiration for the boudoir photography. So I'd been taking photographs for a very, very long time. And I was doing a lot of portraits and portrait photography. And I've had my own personal sort of stories. I've had a skin condition for a very, very long time. And it really affected my confidence. It really affected me. And I think I wanted to find something that was empowering for other women. I wanted to do something that helped people to be seen, because I know how difficult it is to be seen if you feel like you're different or you're not quite, perfect. So I wanted to do the boudoir photography because it's so challenging but so rewarding at the same time. I wanted to create something, and I did create something that was empowering for women. It was a way of seeing yourself in a different way. It was a way of loving yourself in a way as you are, rather than desiring to be, something else or look like something else. Partly for me. I think everything that I've done really has been some healing for me, and also to give something to the person that I'm working with.
Okay. And, so we're talking about the work, and we're talking about what it was like to create the boudoir photography. Now, you talk about the process of change that happened during these sessions. And a lot of people think, well, isn't it just taking off your clothes, putting some other clothes on, or, for those who take the pictures without clothes. So what kind of change and what kind of process of change happened during those sessions?
Very good question. The boudoir photography is, the way I see it, it's a very, very intimate photo shoot. It's not like just, a turn up and a point and shoot. Someone just points a camera at you. Yes, the clients that I had, they were often quite undressed. And yes, there is such a vulnerability there. There's something, and I love Brené Brown. She talked a lot about vulnerability. There's something there that takes place between the photographer and the client, and the transformation that happens for the woman who is being photographed is, I am beautiful. I'm beautiful exactly as I am. So I had one shoot that I remember really well, which was, I was actually photographing, there was quite a few different ladies. I was shooting like 5 different ladies individually, and one particular lady, she was a mum. She was a full-time mum. Right. And I think for a long time she hadn't dressed up, she hadn't done anything really for herself. And when she was in front of the camera, and one of my specialities, one of the things I'd say that I'm actually really, really good at, is I can get a banging, brilliant photo out of a who does not want to be photographed. That sort of became my thing, is that I can capture you, I can get a great photograph out of a woman who doesn't like to be in front of the camera. I know what to do, I know how to help you relax, I know what I'm looking for. And in a moment, she had a moment where her emotion just kind of welled up, and she began to cry. It was really emotional and really beautiful. And I think after that, she went on to start posting more pictures of herself online, and where she wasn't doing that before. So the transformation was, it's an acceptance thing. I'm great as I am, and it was very humbling and very powerful to do that, and to be I don't know what you call the sort of conduit for that to happen for women.
You know what? That's absolutely amazing. And, like I said, we met during that period. And even during the fact that we met, I didn't know that you were also the editor of the online magazine Reinvention Diva. So how did that fit into everything that you've done?
Well, I will say, Lillian, I will say that I would describe myself as a searcher. I've done many different things. The Reinvention Diva came about. Again, I'm going to say it was very much centered on where I was in my life at the time, and going back to the skin condition that I've had. I was very, very fortunate to be a stay-at-home mum, and I'd say fortunate because it meant that I was here for my kids when they got in from school and all those kind of things. But at the same time, there was something else going on. I had a skin condition. I was a bit kind of nervous and self-conscious to leave the house. And the Reinvention Diva was all about me reinventing myself. And then it was all about me finding people who had similar stories of reinvention, of change, of transformation. I think that I was thinking about this actually earlier, but ahead of this interview, I was thinking I love transformation. I love transforming houses, rooms. I love helping people transform. I love things where you can see like a really big change. And the Reinvention Diva for me, when I've initially started it, was about me reinventing myself so that I can break out of this kind of little hiding bubble that I'd got myself into, and get more out into the world. And then I turned it into a magazine. That was through other people approaching me and asking me if I wanted to do a magazine, which I did.
Okay.
And then I interviewed some really incredible people, really amazing, creative people who were doing exactly the same thing. They were taking their lives and they were transforming their lives into something else. So that's how that came about. So you've done some digging, haven't you?
Well, I mean, come on, I have to, is what we do here. We got to share your story.
That's right.
So, you touched on it twice. You talk about your skin condition.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell us a bit more about that skin condition?
Oh yeah, I don't mind. It's been diagnosed as something called discoid lupus, which lupus is an autoimmune condition. Discoid affects the skin.
Right.
I think there's two more lupuses. One's called systemic lupus, which is very, very serious and can be fatal. Discoid lupus only affects the skin, but it has been. So it's just such a massive challenge. I can't lie. It's a huge challenge for me in my life, and it's been with me for a long time, and I am constantly looking for ways to sort of overcome how I feel about it, so that I can just get out and do what I want to do, because it's a challenge. I'll say that. Yeah.
But, the one thing that I will say is on meeting you, and I know other people have met you, yes, there's scarring on your face. Yes, it's obvious it's not stuff you can hide. But once we are in your presence, a few minutes later, it becomes a non-conversation issue. It's just, it's your face, it's your skin, and that we move past it. But there was a point that you were slightly worried about how your children will react to you.
Oh yeah, that's so long ago now. My children are tall men with deep
They're grown people.
I'm telling you, they're tall men with deep voices, and yeah, I was worried. I mean, this is going back some years, but my kids, the men in my life are. I mean, they are the. How can I say this? They are there's that unconditional love thing. They don't see your flaws. Your children don't see your flaws; they just see you as you are, and that has continued. I've been really, really fortunate that when they were little, they didn't see it, and as they've grown, they're just incredibly supportive people. They're really loving, and I'm their mum, and they love me.
Oh.
And that's, I know, it's really rather marvelous. It's wonderful.
And you're having proud mommy moments because one of your sons is working on his own graphic work as well.
Yeah.
That you were probably going to collaborate with at some point.
Well, one of my sons is an artist, my youngest, and my eldest son is a music producer. And they have taken the advice that I didn't take myself, which is, as they were growing up, I said to them, well, me and their dad, my husband, we both said to them, find one thing that you love and get good at that and do it. And they've both done that. So, like I said, the eldest one, he's a music producer. He's great at music. Right. Taught himself music, and now he's producing and he's out there and he's making waves. And the youngest boy, pretty much taught himself how to draw. So he's a comic book artist, and they're just both phenomenal human beings. And I am really, 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 really proud. It's a very creative house. Everybody's always doing something or creating something or making something, whether it's music or drawing, or my husband, he's a music manager, but I think he's very creative in the way he negotiates his business and et cetera, et cetera. And I'm always making stuff or painting stuff or sanding something or printing a T-shirt. So we're all, we're all busy making stuff, really, being creative.
Okay. And speaking of the creativity, you're a UK-based maker. One of the things you firmly stand against is against fast fashion. So here's my question. Fast fashion is constantly in the news right now. How can we not fall to it? How do we not fall prey to the fast fashion and not break the bank? Because we all want to look good, but we're trying to be conscious and look at more, sustainable fashion. What do we do?
Oh, gosh, well, there's a question. Do you know what? I think the only way I can really honestly answer that is just to think about myself and how I approach fashion. So I've got a pretty full wardrobe. And the Pareto principle where, the 80-20 rule, I think it's the Pareto principle. So where you wear 20% of your wardrobe 80% of the time. So I wear 20% of my wardrobe 80% of the time, and that is my jeans and a T-shirt, because a lot of the time I'm getting dirty, I'm doing stuff. I think the thing for me, what I do, where it comes to the T-shirts that I print and that I sell, is that I deliberately searched for a company that was ethical. I deliberately searched for a company that was mindful of the footprint and mindful of the kind of garments they were putting out into the world. So I like to make in the T-shirts, and also to myself to buy. I like to buy things that are going to last me a long time. So our T-shirts that we print on, the organic T-shirts, they wash and wash and wash and wash, and they don't lose their shape. So you don't want to chuck it out. It might not become your favourite T-shirt after you've worn it, 100 times, right. But you'll still keep it because it looks good. It's got its shape. So for myself personally, if the reason why I'm against fast fashion is because it's really cheap. And there's some crazy statistic, which I don't even have at hand, of how much of it ends up in landfill. Yeah. So I don't know if you watched the documentary a little while ago on BBC. I think it was on the BBC with a girl called Stacey Dooley, and it was about the I think it was called the fashion industry's dirty secret or something like that. And she was talking about the fashion industry and how much wastage there is, and how it damages countries that produce the textiles, etc. And then right at the end, and this really blew my mind. Right at the end, she invited on, I think it was like 3 bloggers and influencers. And one of the girls, as she was interviewing them about, what they could do with their followers, etc., etc. And one of the girls said, "Oh, well, maybe I could tell my followers to wear an outfit more than once." And I thought, what? Really? So there you go. There's things. Wear your clothes more than once. Team your, make this. You can restyle things over and over and over and over again, and you've probably got it in your wardrobe. You just might not have worn it for a long time. It's just, I mean, that's the way I would. That's the way I approach it. It's just not. You don't need to keep buying loads of new stuff. You've probably already got it.
Okay.
Restyle it.
Exactly. Or, upcycle your clothes. There are ways around it.
Or go shopping in a second-hand shop. I don't mind buying second-hand clothes at all. I bought a really funky purple jumpsuit that when I wear it, I look like a Teletubby, but I love it. I love it. I really do.
It's not second-hand, darling. It's totally vintage. Come on now.
Thank you very much. I should have said, oh, that might have been. I don't know. I don't think it's so much for the older shopper to be educated. I think it's a lot for the younger shopper to be educated, because they maybe seem to want clothes that are a lot cheaper, very, very high fashion, but you wash it once and it falls apart, so you've got to go and buy another one. But then you think to yourself, oh, it only cost me £8, so it doesn't matter, I'll just go and buy another one. I think just buy something that costs you £50 that you can wear over and over and over and over and over again, and always take your stuff that you don't want to charity, or take it somewhere where it can be sent to sent on to help some other people, that kind of thing.
I actually agree, and I'm not endorsing any brands, but H&M has this thing where you take your old clothes, whatever shape and disrepair that it is in, and they will take it from you, and they will recycle, and they do other things with it, and which I think more and more brands need to do, because we can't afford to have them in the landfill anymore.
No, there's a lot of clothes that go to landfill, which is, like I said, which is why the particular T-shirts that I print on, I'm really proud of them, because they feel great, they look great, and like I said, they will last and last and last after wash after wash after wash after wash, and that's something that is really important to me. I don't want to, because I'm creating something new, I want to make sure that it is worth creating.
Okay. And speaking of that creation, let's talk about the process, because like we said, you started with photography. How did you start edging your way and say, hey, you know what, I'm going to create print screen T-shirts? How did that transition happen?
Well, okay. So T-shirts is something that I've wanted to, T-shirts is something that I've wanted to do for a very long time. But I didn't do it years ago because I was a mum, and because I just put all sorts of barriers in my own way. And then with the advent of the amazing internet and all the things, all the features and benefits that you get from the internet, I learned about drop shipping. So the boudoir photography and the photography had come to, the portrait photography that I was doing had come to an end, because I'd made a series of quite poor decisions and ended up sort of winding that up, if you like.
Okay.
And then whilst I was in kind of limbo land of what am I going to do, I decided to just really think about things that I'd wanted to do from when I was a lot younger, like before pre-children. And T-shirts was one of the things that I wanted to do. I was really inspired by Catherine Hamnett's big, bold slogan T-shirts. I don't know if you remember them back in the late 80s. No. I was really, okay, maybe you're a bit too young. But I was really inspired by it. You could do a quick Google search if you want.
Let me get on Google on the side. Catherine Hamnett.
Yeah, have a look. Catherine Hamnett, she's fashion designer, and she used her T-shirts to highlight really serious issues like HIV and other really important issues. And I think there's a famous shot of her going to Downing Street and meeting Margaret Thatcher wearing one of her big, massive slogan T-shirts. And I was really actually inspired by that. But it was something that I put on the back burner. And so after the boudoir photography had come to an end, I was thinking of what am I going to do? And my brain went to what did I enjoy doing? What have I always loved doing? What is something that I wanted to do that I didn't start? And t-shirts came to me and interior design came to me. So those two things came to me and I decided to pursue them both. And then t-shirts kind of came out on top.
Okay. Well, now, speaking of Catherine Hammett, she is going to be my new favorite t-shirt person after you.
Hey! Vivienne Westwood also does some amazing things with t-shirts as well. She's very, very outspoken politically on what she puts on t-shirts, and I just think it's great to use them like that, to deliver a powerful message.
And you know what? You do that quite well. You do that quite well. You have the line addicted. And I remember seeing them at Spitalfield Market and thinking, that's a bold choice for a word to be splashed across someone's chest. Why? What inspired that line of T-shirts?
Good question. I thought you'd ask me that, so I prepared a little statement. No, I haven't. No, but first of all, what I would say is addictions are something obviously to be taken very seriously, and I'm not intending to take it lightly at all. But the addictions that I'm talking about in that particular collection are about addictions of behaviour and addictions of emotion and addictions that perhaps they're not substance-based, which is what we are, I suppose, more familiar with. People who are addicted to heroin or cocaine or alcohol, cigarettes, whatever. It was more about the addictions, like I said, of behaviour, of emotions, and that's my education. Really, the first time I ever heard about being addicted to emotions was when I was listening to a guy called Dr. Joe Dispenza, who I've listened to for about the past 5 years, and he talked about how we can get addicted to our own emotions. So the reason why I put that on a t-shirt, because it's really bold, it's really in your face, and it's almost like an owning up to. It's like the first step. I am addicted to drama, so now I can do something about it. I am addicted to sabotage. Now I can do something about it. And yes, it is it is pretty bold. The at the market, 'cause I've got a stall at Spitalfields Market in East London, and when I first put out the Addicted to Sabotage, I remember I had a grey sweatshirt on one of my mannequins, and I'd just finished setting up, so it was quite early in the morning, and a Canadian couple were walking through, and the woman, the female of the couple, she just made a beeline for the mannequin, and she went, "I'll have it." And it was like, there was no sale. I didn't have to do, "Oh, you should, blah, blah, blah. Would you like it in this? What size do you want it?" I have it. And she said, "Can I try it on?" She tried it on. She put it on. And I looked at her and I said, "You get it?" And she goes, "I totally get it." And she just paid me the money and she went off. And I thought, wow, yeah, okay, so people do get it, because it is really bold. It's like, wow, you've got to be kind of a bit of a personality to wear addicted to drama or addicted to sabotage kind of emblazoned across your chest. But it's about change. It's about change. It's about me as well. It's about me as well, recognizing that I get stuck in my own patterns as well. And I suppose that's part of what it is. It's like, unstick yourself by wearing it and going, "Oh yeah, I do that. Maybe I shouldn't do that today. Maybe I shouldn't get into that drama today." Yeah.
So it's about owning your own stuff, and it's being very personal and very real, and saying, "That's my addiction. My addiction is drama." And to be quite fair, we are in a very addicted age. We're addicted to the dramas of reality TV. We're addicted to the social media fascination. There is a lot of addiction going on. And before people will say, "Hey, what gives you the right to talk about this? How can you do this?" one of your background is also hypnotherapy. And so you work with helping people find change through hypnotherapy at one stage.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we're looking at your work, is there a place where because they seem to be a reoccurring theme, everything you do is about change.
Yes. Yeah.
So there's a change within your clients in the boudoir photography. There's a change that you're creating with dark romantic. And so if there's a place that people are coming to that they find it uncomfortable, how do you help them create an association that says, okay, this is what it's bringing up for me? How do you help them look at it to find a positiveness in owning that message?
It's a personal choice, Lillian. I see that very much as being it's a personal choice. I think the people who choose to wear those t-shirts, sweatshirts, they get it. They understand what it means. They understand maybe the tongue-in-cheekness of it. It's not, I'm not trying to do therapy on a t-shirt. I'm just, I suppose through my own personal experience as well, I'm just owning up to the stuff that really goes on inside my head and the stuff that I see going on with people around me. Is that we are addicted to stuff that is not the stuff that you think that we're addicted to. So I'd say for I'm all for in conversation. I'm all for helping people to kind of figure out where they're at, but I suppose I'm not doing like therapy anymore. I'm not sitting down opposite you and, asking you what's going on, where are you, what do you want to change. The Addicted collection is so in your face that if you don't get it, then you probably won't wear it.
Right. Okay. I like the concept of therapy on a shirt, but
that's cool.
I think we should kind of pin that and take a look at that a little later.
yeah, definitely. Maybe I could be the first one. You got to create a niche within a niche, haven't you?
Exactly. I mean, it's a whole conversation starter, and so when you're thinking about dark romantic, where else do you want to take this? What is the next step for it?
Well, I still feel like it's new. I still feel very much like we're at the beginning, and I am constantly having to sort of rein myself in from the 25,000 ideas that I have going in my head, like all the time. It's like, oh, I could do this. Oh, I could do that. Oh, I could do this. Oh, I could do that. But what I'd like to do with it is, like I mentioned before, is interiors. I'd like it to evolve into an interiors company that sells t-shirts. So I'd love to get into like soft furnishings. I've done some really beautiful prints of like my most popular designs. The Rebel Angel, for instance, I've put her on these really gorgeous velvet pieces of fabric that I'm going to make into cushions. Right. So everything that I do with the brand, it's going to happen in an that was interesting. in an evolutionary way. What I'd like to have is a online e-commerce store that concentrates, that keeps the essence of dark romantics, which is juxtaposing these two things together, and printing it onto as many different things as we can that are sustainable, of course, and that people want to keep in their homes for a long time.
Okay. All right. So, and looking at the evolution and actually looking at what you do, you also do concrete letters. What brought the desire to create those?
Oh, I love my concrete letters. I'm so in love with them. They feel so amazing. The concrete letters are, I was actually in a shop I was doing a brekkie. I was doing a silent brekkie and wandering around a really beautiful shop. I I forget the name of it. It was in Muswell Hill, and she had a lot of numbers up. She had a lot of pictures up that had printed numbers like 67. She had a 67. She had a 68. She had a couple of other things, and I had a little conversation with her, and she said, "Oh yeah, people really love buying their birth year." And I thought, oh, that's a really nice idea. And I thought, oh, maybe I could go and do something similar. And I didn't want to just directly copy, because I'm not really, I don't really like to do that. I mean, obviously, nothing under the sun is new. But I decided, it's a good question. How did I even come to the letters? So I didn't want to do exactly what she was doing, but I wanted to do letters that I've always liked. You can buy sign, the former letters that were on the front of shops and things like that. If you go to like salvage yards and things, you can buy like a big S, got lights in it and all that kind of things. But often they are very expensive. There's like one S is like £50. So I wanted to create something that was really cool, really stylish, really simple. You can spell any word that you want. And I looked into doing, I think paper mache. But then when I YouTubed it, it was like, oh gosh, you got to make the mold, and I was like, nah, I'm not going to do all of that. And then I found a YouTube video on how to create these really cool little like 3-inch concrete letters. So I make those, and I sell them at the market.
Okay.
They're really super cool. I love them, and they feel so nice. People could just come by and they just pick them up and they just touch them and stroke them. There's something really tactile and wonderful about concrete. It's a material that I really love.
Okay, so and to be fair, I have played with them, so yes, they are quite lovely, and I do love the one with the gold edge. Yes.
The gold ones, the gold letters.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're speaking about being at the market and being at Spitalfields, and that is such a cool place to be. Why did you choose to actually have a physical store?
Well, that's another very good question, Lillian. I'm very impressed with your questions. I was having a conversation with a friend of mine. We were talking about. I was talking to him about dark Romantix. This is like maybe quite a few months ago, and he said. I remember he said, well, you're a creative and there you are scribbling away at home. He goes, no one can see you. No one can see what you're doing. You just kind of keep it all to yourself. And he says, why don't you get a market stall? And of course, I just thought, well, that was just like a no. What do you mean go out and just see the public? No, crazy. But then when I thought about it, I thought it would be a really fantastic opportunity and to meet people, to actually put the T-shirts in front of strangers, because, when you start a business, then, all your friends and family are absolutely fantastic. They buy your stuff and they tell you how great it is, but there's only so much they're going to buy. Then after that, you need to actually find out whether people actually want to buy it or think it's good and think that it's worth investing in. So with the market, that was a way to, stop me from being this little creative that's sort of like squirreled away at home and just like creating stuff by myself. And take it out into the public and also for me to get out of the house because, like I said, with my skin condition, I do have a tendency to get into a little bit of a hibernation hiding mode because I think it's just like, I can't go out. But the market has been, it's been, what's the word? It's been, it's like a sort of, it's like a healing lesson thing. It's scary. I'm scared sometimes when I go. I have anxiety about all sorts of different things, my skin included. But the most amazing thing is that nobody's ever said anything about my skin, and I've never got one strange look. People are I just have conversations. So for me, it's like me building up my confidence to get out there and meet people. And also it's a way of getting the products in front of real shoppers. Yeah, and
it is kind of fun because it is kind of fun. I will have to admit.
Thank you. It is. You reminded me. It is fun. And the other thing that I really, really love about the market is that I get to be around other creatives, other designer makers, other people who are, and there are some really amazingly talented people in the market that I have to rein myself in so I don't go spending all my money on all their stuff because it's so, you've got people that are designing and making their own clothes, designing and making their own jewelry.
Yes.
You've got people who are making, who are creating amazing bits of art. It's really beautiful to see that and to be part of that community, and also to know, I've got a new appreciation now. Perhaps before, as a shopper, I would have just wandered around and not really taken it in. But I know what it takes to get all your stuff ready, to have that kind of anxiety about, is anyone going to buy anything? Is anyone going to notice? To pack it all up, to get up early in the morning, to get there. There's a lot of work involved. So I really do have that appreciation of what other creative people are putting into getting their stuff in front of people. Now I'm one of those, and I'm honoured, massively honoured to be there, and I'm really, really, really super, super, super grateful that I've got a pitch, that I'm there on a Monday, and on Mondays and Fridays, just to tell you when. So yeah, and it is fun, and I've met some brilliant people, and got confirmation that the stuff that I'm designing all by myself at home, shoppers, customers do like it. I get a lot of really positive comments and a lot of positive feedback, and people buying my stuff, which is really, really brilliant. And also, it's like a shop front, isn't it? For me, it's like my shop front. It's not a fixed. I don't have to go to a shop every single day, but it's my shop front. So anything that I'm creating that I want to test out, I can test it out on the market.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think, there's something about getting back to that high street, because yes, the convenience of shopping online is great. I'm not going to tell a lie. I'm an Amazon addict. That's not my thing. But there is something about being able to go out and touch and actually see, physically interact with the maker of that particular item. And, so to my Etsy people, to people at the market in Spitalfields, I think that it's a good time, especially now that we're coming up to Christmas, Christmas shopping. This is the great time to be out there and actually connect, because there is that need for us to get back to those basics.
And you'll find unique things at the market. Online I shop online. I don't really buy clothes online. I'm like you. I'm more of I buy stuff on Amazon for the convenience, because nowadays you can't find a stationery shop on your high street, so you tend to go onto Amazon or something like that. To find really unique pieces, and like you said, to be in contact with a designer maker, somebody who's put their, got something out of their head and actually created it into a physical product. That is unique, and it's special, and it's different. And perhaps you might not find it if you were trawling through the millions of shopping sites. And also, you've got to think about online. You've got to register, you've got to have all these keywords, and you've got people who've got to be able to find you. Well, they might not be able to if you're somebody small like myself. But whereas in the market, I'm directly there. You can go, I'll come over and see what she's selling. And I was told the other day that my market stall, that the way I dressed my stall, I was told that it looked very glamorous. So I was really happy. I thought, well, if that gets the people in, then that's fantastic.
Exactly. So let me ask you this: is your creativity and your identity linked?
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So with driving that, let me ask you this question, because this is my favorite question. If you woke up tomorrow with no memories of who you are, what would you do with your life?
Oh, gosh. If I woke up tomorrow with no memories of who I am, would I be able to remember who my children are? Because I couldn't remember. I'll be like, who are all these men in my house?
Okay, you can remember your husband and your children, but no memories of what you've done before. What would you do?
What would I do? I would. I think I would travel. I think I would like to see the world a bit more, and go traveling and creating whilst I was traveling. I think that's what I would really love to do. Yeah, just I was looking at something today. I got an email from one of the lists I'm on, and they were talking about creating being a digital nomad, and I thought that just sounds fantastic. What I really love is I love the way, I suppose millennial I can't say that word, millennials, and have don't laugh. I can't say it properly.
Millennials, them people.
Thank you.
Them people.
I love the way they have embraced the internet, and they've embraced what you can do with it, and that you do not have to be fixed in a job in a certain city. You can get your laptop, get your phone, have a Wi-Fi connection. You've got a business, travel the world. I think that's what I would do.
You know what? Secretly, that's one of my top lists, to be able to untether myself and actually travel and do these interviews from anywhere in the world. Because, hey, all I need is an internet and great people like you.
Thank you very much. But it's true, isn't it? You just need good Wi-Fi, and you don't even need a laptop. You can do it on your phone.
Yep.
You can get Skype on your phone. The phone is not a phone, is it? Really, it's a mini computer that apparently, if you knew how to, could move satellites, but I don't actually know how to do that. So
yeah, let's not talk about that, because you know we don't know who's listening. I haven't just for clarification, I have not moved any satellites today. I haven't moved anything. I can prove it.
Yeah, that's a great question, and that's what I would do. I would go around the world, and I would live in different places and really absorb, and not just drop in and drop out, but I've got like a dream of going to the Caribbean and staying around there for the whole carnival season, and then island hopping, and then going to New York and living in Manhattan for like 6 months, and then going to Bali and traveling all to Thailand and all around there, and staying there for another like 3-4 months, and really absorbing where I am, traveling around Africa, going to different parts of Africa, and really getting into my culture and my history and my heritage. I do often say it to my husband. I say, what are we doing? Why don't we just go? And he sort of looks at me quizzically like, are you mad? Yeah, I think it's a bit of that kind of what do they call it? They call it like that 50-year-old gap year. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I just want to take my gap year now.
Hey, why not? I mean, I think it's life, and technology has made it possible. There's so many people doing it, so I think, yeah, if that's your thing, that's your thing.
Yeah, and the places that I've traveled to in the world, I'm always amazed at. One of the things that amazes me is how you can wake up in a completely different city in a day, in a completely different place in a day, different culture, different people. It's just different, and it's amazing, and you learn so much about yourself, how resourceful you are, and you shake off. I mean, I've always noticed with traveling and maybe going on holiday, how you just kind of shake off a lot of the angst and the anxiety, especially that we have as Londoners, it just kind of dissolves.
Yeah, that's because we see blue sky and we're like, ooh, look, the sky's blue, we can do stuff.
yeah, exactly. It's true.
All right, so we've come to that point in the show where we talk about our So Loud moment of the week as our standing feature. What is, Sharon, your So Loud moment of the week?
My So Loud moment of the week. I'm going to take it back to something that we talked about, and that is being on the market. I've always said to my husband, who's about the only person who would listen, that the market for me is not about the market at all. It's so much more. And I'm so grateful to have the opportunity to, like I said, be surrounded by some really amazing people. But one of the reasons why I say it's not about the market is because it gets me out of my head because I can get a little bit too much in my own head. It gets me out of my head, and the conversations and the people that I've met and the inspiration that I get and the confirmation that I'm doing something that people want. There's so much rolled up into just having this tiny little, I don't know what it is, 10 by 10 stall that I get to dress in the way that I want, that I get to put in it exactly what I want, and to sort of express a different side of myself. I just find it such an amazing opportunity, and I find it such a good thing for me as a creative person to share, to get out and share myself, and not be that person that's sort of hunkered away and like, just making stuff and I've got to design this. The market gives me, it's that kind of opening out into the world. So that's my so loud moment. I think the opportunity to be out there and in such a well-known market as well, Spitalfields, you say that everybody knows it.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
I think, that deserves a huge round of applause, because yes, being able to step out into the world powerfully needs to be applauded. So here we go.
Yeah. I did the back. Thank you very much. I'm curtsying gracefully.
Ew. So let me ask, as someone who is very creative and has a creative household, who inspires you?
I knew you were going to ask me that question. I knew you were going to ask me that question. Oh, wow. Well, I'm the first person that I'm going to say right now, and it hasn't been a person that's inspired me because I've only known about her for the past maybe 4 years, is Viola Davis. She's like, I just think she's phenomenal. Oprah Winfrey also inspires me. I love Iyanla Vanzant. She also inspires me. I think I get my creativity and all of that from my mum. My mum back in the day was a proper rockin' hippie, and she would always be like with stars painted on her face, and she just used to wear some really, really super clothes, which of course when I was young I should think, oh my God, how embarrassing. But like now it's like, wow, how cool. So my mum inspires me as well. Creatively, who inspires me? I have artists that I like. I mean, I'm sitting in my bedroom right now, and the things that I'm looking at, I've got a graffiti artist. I've got a picture by a guy called Inky. I just think people who are not afraid. I think Vivienne Westwood, she inspires me because I think she's always been just not afraid. She just does it, says it, bees it. That's the kind of thing. So that's a very, very, very good question. I've said that about 4 times, haven't I? That's a question.
Well, we'll take the compliment. And actually, looking at the list of people that you've mentioned, and let's put your mom out there. Oh, we love hippie moms, so love to the hippie moms.
Yeah,
but and then you mentioned Queen Viola. It's almost like her name is now said in reverence, like
that's right.
Viola Davis has spoken.
Yes, that's right. The thing I love about Viola Davis, what I've read about her is, that she's tried for a very, very long time. She's been acting for a very, 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 very long time, and she's pushed through and pushed through and pushed through. When dark-skinned actresses were not given leading roles, they were not seen as being somebody who could hold who could be the star of the show.
Yes.
And she's pushed and she's pushed and she's pushed and she's pushed and she's come out on top. And that's what with her, that's what really inspires me. It's like, do not stop, do not give up. If you've got a dream, if you've got something that you really, really want to do, keep on pushing, because when I was a teenager growing up, there were no dark-skinned women in prominence. It just didn't happen. And now in my lifetime, to see that, it's such a blessing, and it's such a powerful driver for women of color, and for any woman, but particularly I'll say for women of color, for me, for myself, to see a black woman, African American woman out there, getting all snotty on TV and but going there, really getting into her role and being exposed and being vulnerable. It's making me get goosebumps just thinking about it, because it's such an amazing achievement. Yeah, I love her.
She's incredible. And there was something that I watched on her the other day, and when she spoke about how whenever in the past people will talk about the woman is either seen as attractive or desirable, she goes, yeah, that role is not for me. And now she's being casted for roles where she is the leading woman, where she is the desired. And like you said, it is absolutely amazing to have more black women in that position of being seen, desired, put up as leading figures. And I'm not even going to get into my fantasy about Black Panther and what it did. I'm not even going to talk about hidden figures and all of that. But even we have to appreciate, and I think there's also one dark-skinned woman that sometimes we forget how pioneering she was Grace Jones, because she was just fantastic.
Yeah, she was. She is
and was at that point.
And it's like nowadays I see, it's just really beautiful. Like if you're watching TV and a little advert comes on, you see they put up a mixed family, but the woman is a dark-skinned woman. She's dark. She's not. She's, it's beautiful to just be recognised that we're normal. We're just the same as everybody else. I think that it inspires me a lot. And the other thing actually that has really inspired me a lot lately is African art. Is looking at African art and looking at how a lot of I believe this. I mean, a lot of fashion and fashion influences comes from from the motherland.
Yes.
So it's fantastic to see, because I'm grasping that a lot more now. Actually, I've noticed that with myself. I'm grasping that a lot more and feeling like more of a connection as I get older, and like recognizing that there's such a beauty in the way that an African woman will just style herself and just look banging, like, whoa, you just look amazing, and you're wearing beads that you guys made from something, and you just look amazing. I think I love that sort of effortlessness and the influence that it has over kind of everything that we do and that we see. I love that too.
Okay, so let me ask you this question: what are you currently reading, or what was the last book you read?
What am I currently reading? Okay, so I tend to read a few books at the same time. So one of the books I'm reading is called Kasabian and Clay. It's a novel. I'm also reading a book on branding called The 22 Immutable Laws of Branding. I was reading, not too long ago, Iyanla Vanzant and Oprah, and a book called Power. So yeah, I'm reading a few books.
You have a few books on the go.
I do. I always read more than one book. Always read more than one book. And one book actually that I really love is a book that my son bought for me, my youngest, bought for me last Christmas. It's called, at the end of this book, you'll be able to draw faces. So I've been teaching myself how to draw faces. It's very hard.
Okay. Okay, so we'll get to see faces at the end of this.
Well, I don't know about that. Yeah, where I can't draw it, I'll photograph it and then I'll put it on a T-shirt.
That works.
Yeah, it does. It does. It's a little bit of a shortcut.
Okay, so how can people connect with you and Dark Romantic?
So I'm online. My website is darkromantix.com. I'm on Instagram at Dark Romantix, and it's Dark DARK, and then Romantix, which is ROMANTIX. I do have a Facebook page, Dark Romantix again. Mostly I'm on Instagram, and then of course, if you want to brave the weather as it starts getting colder, you can find me at Spitalfields Market on a Monday and a Friday, in the new Spitalfields side, which has the metal framed market stalls. So that's the best way to contact me. And I love having visitors. I really do love having people come down just to have a chat and bring me a nice hot cup of tea.
Cool. Okay, so last question. I promise. This is my last question. You have to wear a t-shirt with one word on it for a year. Which word do you choose?
Unconventional.
Unconventional. I like that. I like that. Why? Why unconventional?
Because it's another good question. It makes me think. Unconventional because I like to always go against the grain. I just want to be. I think unconventional people just do themselves. You know, it's just like, you know, that do you boo? It's like, just do you boo? Just, it's about being yourself. Most of us are all the same, but you know what? We're not. We're pretty unconventional. We're pretty different. I like the idea of being different. That's why.
All right. So, Sharon, I cannot thank you enough for being on the show this evening.
Doesn't an hour fly by?
Yes, it does.
Oh, that's been really, really wonderful. I hope I haven't and
You've been absolutely perfect, and the show has been great. So, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you very, very, very much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So, folks, it's a wrap. If you want to find Sharon Simpson and find her work, I will say wander down to Spitalfield Market, make a day of it, grab some donuts, grab some chocolate, but most importantly, don't do that and then go to her stall. Go to her stall first and then do the rest. And connect with her, look at the great work that she's doing, and get to discover Dark Romantic and what she stands for and what it's creating, and pick up a t-shirt. So, same place, same time next week. Join us, and you know what to do. You love the show? Send us a message, hit us up on Twitter and Instagram, or even just give us some love on iTunes. This is Lillian Bogo saying good night.
You've been listening to The Shine Out Loud Show. If you want to connect with us or let us know what you thought of today's show, be sure to follow us on Twitter at Shine Out Show.